Austin Carr, New Orleans Saints, welcome back to Talking Beats.
Great to be here. I've been here once before. That you invited me back means I need a raise.
Did you see that I wore a shirt to honor what's happening here?
Yeah, could you show that for the fans?
Absolutely. See, this is a New Orleans colors, purple, green, gold. We wear them at Mardi Gras and all the other times too. When you want to put on a party, you need those colors, right?
I love it. I love it. This is like your second home, probably kind of like me too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's such a warm, fun city that you feel like you fit in, from the start, right?
Absolutely. Where did you get that shirt? Can I get one of those or?
I'll send you one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll send you one. Yeah. So you just played a football game. What happens after a football game? Is your body like destroyed?
Yes. So typically, it depends obviously how the game goes and how you fare. I've finished games everywhere from, I feel fine. Good to go the next day, Monday morning. I'm ready to run and get a lift in, to needing surgery the next day. So, you have the whole gamut, but for me right now, I was blessed to have a safe game, to be feeling good, and to get the win, obviously. Your body kind of just has this fresh glow on Monday. It's probably faded now. It's Tuesday. Blessed to be healthy and ready to go.
So the recovery, you had an injury last season. We talked about, actually, the first time I met you at the Symphony, your leg was up in I don't even know what that thing was called. What was that?
That's like one of those high grade scooters that they issue ankle injuries. Yeah.
Okay, so your leg was in a high grade scooter, and you love the music. We'll talk about music obviously on here, but that recovery was intense, wasn't it?
It really was. So I tore and messed up everything you kind of can in my left ankle: tendons, ligaments, cartilage. There was a bone, an extra bone that needed to be removed. So yeah, it was about a 6-month minimum recovery.
And it made you a little lighter because of lack of the bone.
They took the bone out. I'm the fastest guy on the team now. So, hey, thanks.
Yeah. That's called a silver lining.
Exactly. Yeah, that's called the bright side of things. No, but I mean, for as a wide receiver, anything lower body is dreaded as far as injuries. You'd rather have something upper body, because your lower body, I mean, you're running. If you can't run anymore, that's it. And in my meeting with Coach Payton before surgery, he said, obviously we're hoping for the best, but you're a COD guy. And once that goes, you're going to move on to your next career. COD means change of direction. I'm known for my quickness. So that means planting hard. And it's a testament to the doctors and the trainers who, that I played 2 days ago is a testament to their hard work. And obviously the good Lord healing my ankle. So, yeah.
And so now, what is it? 100%? Does it feel totally normal?
Yes and no. Functionally, I'm out there. I'm playing football at a high level. I think that the scar tissue and the final healing won't set in for like a year and a half. So
yeah.
So
okay, so there's so much to talk about, but let's just talk about sort of one of there's a few elephants in the room, but one of them obviously is the virus. So
yeah.
So are you all? I heard teams are living in hotels, and I heard not. So I mean, where are you right now? Don't disclose too much. But are you in a hotel? Are you in a house? I mean, are you quarantined?
I'm in my house.
Yeah.
It's crazy because not only is that the sort of marquee issue for the NFL. I mean, we already have restrictions. I mean, there's mask wearing pretty much everywhere outside of practice and lifting. There's, obviously comprehensive sanitization. All of our meetings have been changed. We're all in much, much larger rooms so that we're able to physically distance. But I mean, still, if you get popped with a positive test, then those protocols get even more restricted. And so now I have, like, my face mask has a prototype face guard on it. We have to wear masks when we lift now. I mean, yeah,
that must be really fun wearing a mask when you lift.
It's in New Orleans. It's the best thing. The humidity. Yeah.
But is the lifting outside? I mean,
no, it's inside, but we also run outside. So I mean, it's It is what it is. But at the end of the day, I mean, we all want to get the season, we want to complete the season, and obviously we want to win a Super Bowl. So we'll do what it takes.
And you had it was disclosed after the fact in the newspapers, but you had the virus in the spring, right around the time that your wife was giving birth, and she may have had it. I remember we were chatting. You said, I think I have it. And at that time, it was really hard to get a test. So I said, who knows? It sounds like you do. That was my professional medical diagnosis.
Yes.
It turned out I was right.
Right. And that wasn't long after I met you. Is that correct?
No, that was because we
gave it to me? No, I'm just kidding. No,
because I think I may have brought it back from South America and given it to you. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So I mean, it was a crazy turn of events. Long story short, I got coronavirus. My wife got coronavirus. My wife, a couple weeks after feeling symptoms, gave birth to our son. But on the onboarding process, as she was being screened into the hospital, she tested positive. And, at that point, she wasn't feeling any symptoms. But, the headlines pop up, Austin Carr and wife test positive. The baby okay? I mean, it's just like, I get it because it's been a dramatic experience for a lot of people. But for us, it was just kind of a hindrance to the whole birthing process. But we feel blessed and grateful that we're safe, we're healthy, and our little baby son, who's 6.5 months now, he's healthy and safe too.
It seems like the virus goes after wide receivers, right?
Yes, because we're so fast, they tries to track us down first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it goes after cellists, I heard, so beware.
Okay, I'm not leaving this room then.
Good. Okay.
You spent the summer, you went to Chicago, you were doing training, getting back in shape, and then the season starts. Tell us about the sensation of being on the field for the first time since recovering, being back with the team and having that sort of, I call it the wind in the face,
Yeah. It's an incredible feeling. And, they say, you don't really realize how lucky or how blessed or how grateful you need to be until you lose what you had. And just realizing that, at the beginning of 2020, I was questioning if I would be able to run again. I mean, I was in a cast, I was immobilized on a scooter, taking pain medications to get through the night. And here I am playing the game I love. Now, the scars are still there and the rehab is still, a goal. And Mark Twain was so true. And he said, youth is a gift wasted on the young, right? I know I'm still young, but I'd love to have a new ankle. But I mean, it's incredible to play this game at such a high level and to be on a team that's winning is something that I know I've been spoiled. I've gone from the Patriots now to the Saints. I've never had a losing record. I've never not made the playoffs, at the end of the season. I know I'm living in this fantasy land. Most of my friends around the league, their season's over, January 2nd after their last game. So I'm a bit spoiled, but I'm blessed for sure.
And savor it while you can. And speaking about a great record, when you were at Northwestern, which, by the way, you got into on pure academic merit, which is pretty impressive because it's a darn good school, Northwestern. Then you walked on for a tryout for the football team and ended up being the let me see if I got it right. I have notes here, but this isn't written in these notes, so I think I can remember the most completions in the Big Ten in terms of yardage.
Yeah. So yes, I think.
Did I word that? I didn't word that correctly. You can correct the wording.
You're about right. You're a musician by trade. I'm not going to be able to explain scales and movements as well as you can. But so my senior year. So I walked on at Northwestern, a pretty darn good school. I'd say it's the best school, but we can hash that over later.
Okay.
But was lucky enough to earn a scholarship my redshirt junior year, and then my redshirt senior year. Saw my playing time bump up to starter. Led the Big Ten in receptions, I think yards and touchdowns. Won Big Ten Receiver of the Year. It was just this crazy year where me and the quarterback had insane chemistry. He was actually someone who I had mentored when he first got into college, so it was really this cool full circle of him and I just connecting. And he's with the New York Giants right now, playing quarterback there. But just an incredible experience. Northwestern, go Cats. Evanston, Illinois. I got to take you to a game one of these days.
One day, as soon as we can get on a plane and not have to wear a mask and all that. But in any case, so with music, often it's like people say, when did you decide you wanted to become a professional? And I always tell them, I didn't really make a decision. It just happened. It had to happen. So was there a day you woke up and you said, I want to be in the NFL?
6, probably.
So it did happen that early.
I mean, at a young age, it rubbed off from my dad onto me. And being in Northern California, you have 2 teams there in the Bay Area, and the Niners and Raiders at the time. I, for some reason, just picked a liking with the Minnesota Vikings and the Patriots. Then I got my first helmet, got my first football at 6 years old. And from then on, it was like, oh my gosh, I want to be like Randy Moss. You're just dreaming at that time. You think that in a few years, you're going to be in the pros. You don't realize what the journey is. But I would say even in college, it wasn't like, I'm here, like league or die. Like, and that's, I mean, one of the things at Northwestern is they're really trying to develop well-rounded student athletes. And, you know, having a part-time internship in downtown Chicago my junior year, and all sorts of different work opportunities. You know, it's this dream still, it's an idea, but you're also developing plan B. And as you know, the better your plan B is, you know, maybe the less vigorously you pursue plan A. But as I started accomplishing, you know, as my senior year went so well, it was like, oh my gosh, this is actually within my reach. And the rest is sort of history.
It was around senior year that you said to yourself, okay, maybe my 6-year-old dream of being in the NFL can actually become a reality.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty special.
And what did you think about the past 3 years of college? Like, oh, what the heck was I doing for the past 3 years? I could have, you know, but
you know, I was kind of a shrimp boy for the first couple of years. I needed to develop. There's a reason that I walked on, right? I, you know, wasn't the biggest, fastest, strongest, quickest guy at the time. It was just another story of development, credit off to my coaches, credit to the strength coaches, and so on, to get me to a place where I could compete at this level.
Because what, 6'1", 190 is what average for a wide receiver? Is that on the smaller side? Is it
you know, on TV I look little, and this is a bone I have to pick with, like, I don't know, the camera angles, because I meet fans in New Orleans and they recognize my face, but they're like, you're a little guy, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Okay. I'm 6'1". But yeah, I mean, I would say I'm like in the medium range.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have 5'7", 5'8" receivers that are super quick, super speedy. And you have your 6'3", 6'4" guy. So I'm right there in the middle.
If you got to make a complaint to the cameraman, you know, you can figure that out. I mean, get those angles right so they make it clear you're 6'1".
Angles matter.
Angles matter. That's right. So speaking about angles, talk about when you're sitting down and you're studying, because you explained to me one time that these angles, I'm switching to angles on a football field, the angle that you run at, this stuff doesn't memorize itself. So you actually have to do a lot of mental study. It's not just you go lift and you go practice and run. You sit with books and pamphlets and you're studying. What's that all about?
That is the side of the game that I think most people don't get to see. I wish, Daniel, I could take you into just a week of work for me. I wish you could see how thick the playbook is and how many plays you have to know. Here is a typical call sheet in the NFL, or at least for the Saints, double-sided. I mean, you'd have no clue what a lot of these things mean, but
no clue.
I would estimate in total there are about 300 plays on this.
And are you giving away the secrets of your team right now, or
never? No, you will edit this out if I say so.
I think it was a little blurry anyway, but I could tell there was a lot of stuff. So is that basically something you have to memorize?
Pretty much. So you need to know all of the plays and all of the formations and all of the personnel groupings. Do you want me to explain that more, or
explain it? Yeah.
So you have, let's say, a play where, you know, let's just assume you have 2 receivers on this side and you have 1 receiver and a tight end out wide on this side, and they have a certain concept on each side that they're running, and that's let's call that tiger. Well, that formation, let's say that's deuces. So deuces, tiger. But then you also need to have the personnel, right? So I said 2 wide receivers and the wide receiver and the tight end here. Well, what if you want 1 wide receiver, 2 tight ends, and a running back? What if you want 2 receivers, a tight end, and a running back? The different combinations abound, and even like where specifically they're standing on either side of the formation matters as well. So as you can see, like it just all layers and layers and layers on itself, and you need to be, Coach Belichick said this. Coach Payton says this, you need to know what to do and how to do it. That's just the biggest thing as a football player. What do you do and how do you do it? If, as a coach, I can teach you what to do and to an extent how to do it, but the talents and you didn't get to the NFL, and you're not at this level now, not knowing how to run certain routes and how to do what your position, do what your job asks of you. So the coach kind of handles their side of things as what to do. And so the coaches are installing all these plays each week, and we're going out there and doing our best to execute. Coach Payton has a saying, dumb players do dumb things. And so being a smart player comes at a premium for sure in the NFL. Different coaches have put a different premium on smart players. And sometimes you see that on the field when dumb players do dumb things. But it's certainly not something to overlook when smart players do smart things and when smart teams win games, because I think that philosophy it weeds out the excess and puts players on the field who can execute.
This may be a really hard question to answer, but how do you go about actually catching a football in the moment? Like physically, the actual doing it.
I'm so deep in, I don't even know if I can explain it. You as a kid, you learn the diamond. I learned the diamond. Some people learn C's, big C's with both your pointer and thumb. But, I learned the diamond, and you put the diamond, and you want the point of the ball to hit the center of the diamond, and then you grip it, and that's a catch. There are several ways to catch a football. As a receiver, eye-hand coordination is paramount. You must see the ball, catch the ball, and a part of that catching is grip strength, and a part of that is also just the technique. Like a low ball, you're not going to catch like this. You're going to flip your hands over. If you're going over the middle, where there's a lot of traffic, a lot of defenders, you might catch the ball in your body because you're going to get hit soon, and you don't want the ball out and exposed. If you're going deep, and there's a defender right next to you, right? So there's all these different angles and scenarios, circumstances, places that you're on the field that will determine how you catch it. I would say the number one thing to remember, Daniel, when you're playing flag football this Thanksgiving and you're going on a bomb and you want to win, and the number one thing is confidence. You have to be confident. You have to have in your mind, I can catch anything thrown at me. Like if it hits my hands, there's no way that it's going to leave. There's no way that's going to end up anywhere else. I would say, I was taught that in college, and then an old pro with the Bears who's since retired, taught me that during my combine training, and it's definitely been everything. Because when you're confident, there are subtleties that enable you to catch tougher passes, and I could go into that too, but essentially what that is like in traffic, when there's a defender by you, or even if you're wide open, you catch the ball almost a little bit more aggressively. You don't let it get into you because you're nervous about your hands, but you sort of attack it. I'm sure that there's parallels in the music realm, in the orchestral realm of confidence and just trusting your skills and executing.
When you go on stage, you better be confident. In the practice room, it's something else. You can do the second guessing and the quadruple checking, but when you go on stage, it's sink or swim.
Absolutely. That's cool.
So what's harder, actually making contact with the football, gripping the football, or getting to the right place with your legs on the field? Or is it all one? Does it all get rolled into one motion?
Again, Daniel, when circumstances change, I'm going to get you on the field for pregame.
All right.
I'm going to get you on the sideline, and you're going to watch us warm up, and you're going to, I'd rather you decide that. Because honestly, like, I don't realize how hard the quarterbacks throw the ball. It's just so natural now. There are some throws that are like, okay, like, that was like that quarterback threw it as hard as he could, and like that was just unnecessary. But those balls are zipping out around 40 miles per hour, and you're running full speed, catching a 45 mile per hour projectile while running full speed with somebody on your back. Maybe I would tip it toward like actually catching the ball with your hands is on the tougher side. But again, if anything, I need to get you out there in your cleats, if you still have a pair, maybe dust them off and see what's harder for you.
I'll dust them off, from my high school days or middle school days. Yeah, the cleats are around somewhere. I'll find them.
Sure.
So there's been a lot going on this summer with social movements, and there was some police violence. There's been a lot of protests, and I saw a piece you wrote, because obviously the NFL has had its fair share of issues in terms of the national anthem and some players kneeling, et cetera, et cetera. It has bothered some people applaud it. But you wrote a really, I thought, eloquent piece that seemed to be very balanced, very fair-minded, and it was refreshing to see that approach, because it was coming from a place of sanity, I felt like, and and I think that this country and this world doesn't have enough sanity.
Yeah, not much. I agree.
So what were you? I mean, your basic message was that you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Let's put it that way, in terms of respect for the flag, and also making a statement, right?
Definitely. I wrote that piece because I saw people unleashing on someone with whom they disagreed, and with someone with whom they felt erred in their communication of an opinion, or perhaps erred morally, perhaps erred in character. Wherever you stand on that spectrum, as far as what Drew commented regarding the flag, I just noticed zero grace, zero understanding. Now, it's one thing for fans and people who are removed from the situation to exhibit that reaction. But it's another thing, I think, for people who share the locker room with him to exhibit that reaction. Knowing the man that he is, seeing the kind of character that he has, let's assume that you took his comments at the worst, like you interpreted them as like the worst that they could have been. Let's grant that. Like, having shared the locker room with him for like even 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, I think he deserves a tap on the shoulder, maybe in private, maybe a conversation or an interaction aside. Almost like you owe it to your teammate, or you owe it to your fellow friend in the NFL or fellow player to engage with him civilly, fairly, and perhaps want to hear the full story. And this is for anyone who knows his character, who's seen the millions of dollars that he's pumped into the New Orleans area, from the youth on up.
He gives to the schools and to youth of sporting organizations and
right. We want a reaction right away. That's I think one of the issues with the millennial generation and with the climate of social media. We want people to see our raw emotions right away, unprocessed. There's a time for that, I think. But I wasn't going to do that with my teammate. I had my feelings about it. I think they were misguided comments, and I said that in the article that I wrote. But I try to be quick to listen, slow to speak. I try to process things over time. I try not to join the mob in whatever is going on in the social political climate. And I think our country, I think our communities would be much better off if people adopted, hey, let's be a little bit slower to speak, quicker to listen.
I'm glad you mentioned the mob and mob mentality. In case people forget, which I think a lot of people forget, this country has a pretty bad history of mobs. Thinking of something called the Salem witch trials, where mobs ended up burning many innocent people at the stake in the 17th century. So mob mentality doesn't have the most distinguished history in this country or in any country. And in terms of the something that comes up a lot later and more on this podcast, just about social media and what you call the rushing to judgment and the jumping on the bandwagon. And I always wish that people could bring a little more nuance to their interactions, and we could all benefit. And also, it's much more intelligent discourse. If you're talking about civility has to come from a place of being able to listen, and also intelligence. If you're just spouting everything, there's no time for either, and it lowers the level of discourse. And it's really sad when that happens, I think.
I think that's a great point, Daniel. I think humility begets civility, and there's not a lot of room for humility on social media, or if there is, there's a lot of false humility too. I think in any discourse with anybody, especially with those with whom you disagree, I try to filter it. Like with the first question is like, okay, could I be wrong about this issue, right? There's a gamut of issues that I know I could be wrong about. I'm not going to go to the stake dying over what the tax rate should be in X bracket, right? But so I know I could be wrong. So if it's like, yes, okay, I need to be humble, I need to listen. Maybe no. Maybe I'm like, I've had a lot of these conversations. I've thought a lot about an issue. I'm like 99% sure I'm right about this. So with that first bar, that first gateway, could I be wrong about this? Not really. Like I'm pretty sure I'm right. In humility, I need to understand, I need to like realize, okay, but I've been wrong before. I've been in ignorance, or I remember when I wasn't right about things. I remember my stupid opinions, right? How did I want to be treated when I had those opinions? How did I want to be persuaded or won to the truth, right? Well, winsomely and with civility, honestly. And honestly, like, I don't want to cave to someone who's prideful and who just wants to win an argument. I want to be persuaded by someone who is not just winsome, but humble and charitable and understands what I'm saying. Social media doesn't give rise to that. Social media gives rise to, a character limit that's just slings mud at somebody. That feels so good. It's such a rush. But that's just not what helps our community, and our social fabric as a country gets torn when we're tearing each other down.
And, I always say to people when I've expressed my views publicly about some issues that have come up regarding, for example, very strange criticisms of Beethoven. And,
I read that article. It was a really good, well-written article.
I appreciate that. And, people were, for the most part, very supportive, but I got some very critical messages only from musicians, actually, which is the strangest part of the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
So in a sense, I was not particularly worried that musicians were bothered by it, because that's not the audience.
Yeah.
But I said it's so much better to, when you disagree with someone, to challenge rather than censor.
Definitely.
If we're gonna have a disagreement, it doesn't show much intelligence if your only answer is to say canceled.
That's the thing, man. That's why we get more entrenched, is because when people do that, like if we disagree about something and you do that, that makes me think that you're actually not really confident in the persuasiveness of your argument, and or maybe you're confident but you're just not able to articulate it. That's not winsome. I mean, okay, let's just stop talking then.
Well, exactly. And we've talked about this before, that there was a great literary critic, Harold Bloom, and he was talking about, someone asked him, why do you read so much Shakespeare? And he said, because I need it for my rhetorical power. It helps my rhetorical power. Now, what rhetorical power do you show if your only answer is you're canceled? I mean, it's pathetic.
It's sandbox, like, preschool level kind of stuff. This is what, I don't know where you stand on this, Daniel. I think that there are tons of Americans who are beyond that level. I think there are tons of Americans who no, they actually have rich conversations, and they actually really want to talk with someone who disagrees with them, and they understand. I think they know that they're not God. I don't think that they think they're God, so they know that they could be wrong about certain things. And I mean the proof of that is I was just watching this super interesting YouTube video of Black liberals and Black conservatives debating one another on just their different ideologies. Millions of views. Why is that getting so many hits? Just a year after it's made, over 6 million views. I mean, people are fascinated by hearing those debates. I think there needs to be a healthy, open forum for healthy debates on a lot of these issues. Again, I don't support censorship really at all. I think if there was this healthy, you go watch that video and you see this healthy discussion between these two groups that really disagree and they really clash, and you can see their reactions as they're talking to each other. But at the end of the day, we're all still Americans. We're all still seeking the truth. So
yeah.
I'll just add this. I was a philosophy major. So, that's literally love of wisdom. Seeking truth is something that is so important and dear to my heart.
I love what you just said, and it reminds me of interview I did recently with the former Senator Heidi Heitkamp from North Dakota, and she was a pretty middle of the road Democrat, say barely left of the center line, but She said one of her favorite things is to have vigorous political discussions with her neighbors in North Dakota, which is a very rural place, and you get into big arguments. But then at the end of the day, the Republicans and the Democrats all get together and help each other hang the Christmas lights.
Yeah,
isn't that great?
That is great. So I was raised in Northern California. Obviously, that state, let alone that region, is never going red, or at least not anytime soon. That's a deeply Democratic area. And yet I have Black uncles who are Trump supporters.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. My late aunt was voted Democrat of the Year, not in some podunk town, in Santa Cruz.
Wow.
Right? This was back in, I think, 2008 when Obama was running. I mean, I in a sense, I have the luxury of a spectrum of views close to me. All of those people who I just described to you, I've had Christmases with and loved it. So there are people who are born into echo chambers, right? That's another area where I try to have grace for those kinds of people. They didn't have the luxury of having such a spectrum of ideological views. They were raised under just one way of thought. They didn't encounter other ways of thought. And I mean, that's tough. That's harder for a lot of those people. David French noted a recent study that showed that when we hear facts that basically oppose our deeply held beliefs or ideological foundations, our brain physiologically reacts as though it's an attack against us, right? We're talking about facts. When there's just a fact, it's that would counter certain beliefs I have. Now we kind of recoil and we want to attack it. Well, I mean, from a young age, if you're constantly having your mind broadened and seeing different sides of the debate, maybe that attack is not as severe. My wife was in speech and debate throughout high school. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful mind that cultivated. She is such a critical thinker, and she's able to see both sides of things. And there are times where I'm usually the more passionate person politically, and she's just well, no, Austin, you should really understand this side of things and that side of things. She was born and raised in Iowa, by the way, swing state. So she's at the perfect melting pot of Democrats and Republicans. So not everyone has that. We got to have grace for those people.
There's one thing that brings everybody together. Actually, up until recently, I thought it did. Then when I read those Beethoven articles, I'm like, wait a minute. I guess Beethoven doesn't do that anymore, but he used to. And that one thing is music, and you're big into music. So we met at the Symphony. You would come to see a show at the Symphony. I forget what we played. As I said, your leg was in a high-tech scooter. And so music has played a big part in your life. You play the piano really well. We played together. We didn't release the song online, but we're going to, right?
I hope so.
We're going to. We'll re-record it.
Absolutely. Yes. I've been practicing too.
Have you?
Yeah. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I will say, so this is like our bedroom. I have you on the piano right now.
On the piano?
Yes. I've been practicing daily.
So you feel the skills coming back? I have to raise, there we go. My hands on the camera. So scales, arpeggios.
Yes.
It's all coming
everything.
back.
So I'm waiting for my big break with Daniel Lelchuk, and I don't know where it's going to take me post NFL, but I'm just waiting.
Only time will tell, but we're building the repertoire. We have a list of pieces. We've recorded like 2, I think, but we're going to redo it, and everything's calming down now. I thought we were going to do it in person, but this only proves that you should strike while the iron's hot, because we did have the chance to do it in person, and I'm a little busy. How about tomorrow? And then coronavirus.
Yes, not just coronavirus. I will take more of the blame. I had a son. My bad. I should have planned.
You had a son.
I should have planned that for a better time too.
No, but we'll do it online now, since everything's going to be online for a while. But the big question of this interview is the same big question for everybody. What are you listening to right now? Tell us about your relationship with music, man.
Oh man, so my relationship with music goes back to mom, classically trained pianist, dad, drummer. I played drum set as well. Not as well as piano probably, but that definitely ingrained rhythm into me from a young age. Very musical household, music playing all the time. And took a liking to John Legend, Michael Bublé, Kings of Leon at a young age. But my dad, I mean, he had such an eccentric like musical taste. So, I mean, like Mozart to Motley Crue in my home, right? Because my mom and my dad's influence. But my dad played in I think I mentioned this to you, in a 1990s heavy metal band. He was the drummer, and it was an all-black heavy metal band called Bozak in LA. And their claim to fame, I mean, they're at their peak, they opened up for Ice-T. And I've listened to some of their cassette tapes. Yes, cassette tapes. I mean, it's just like, man, this is good music. Man. It's just sad that they got mismanaged. But
what's it sound like?
It sounds like heavy metal with a dose of funk. And I'll say this, man. I've been dabbling into funk lately a lot. I don't know if you've heard of Wolfpack.
I don't think so.
I'm gonna send you some videos.
Send me some videos.
Send you some. Yeah, they've gained a massive following. These white kids in Michigan who are just so funky. Their bass player especially. But
bass is the best instrument for funk, isn't it?
It is. I'm gonna learn it one day, if not on earth, in heaven. But love it.
So, okay. So what else are you listening to right now? What are you gonna let's say you had nothing else to do other than listen to music. So after this call, you had to put on some music. What would it be?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm a Christian. I listen to worship music as well. I am. I mean, I'll just the other night I was dabbling with some Wynton Marsalis. I like some jazz.
You like Wynton?
I do like Wynton. And that's the other, like, if I could learn another instrument, Daniel, it would be trumpet. Such a beautiful, like, not even the saxophone, not the trombone. Like, I want to play the trumpet. Yeah.
I don't know if you know my good friend in New Orleans, who's a great. Actually, I have 2 great friends who are well-known jazz trumpeters. One is Kermit Ruffins, and the other is Irvin Mayfield. And they're both wildly different people, but they're I mean, Grammys, tons of recordings, everything. Really great stuff. I think you should look those guys up. They're real. It's a special style. Irvin used to have the Irvin Mayfield Jazz Playhouse at the Royal Sonesta Hotel.
Okay.
A big room. It was incredible. Really, I mean, you couldn't talk. It was really formal.
Wow.
Big stage with the velvet curtain, like the old days. It was unbelievable.
And man, so live music, obviously, that is, I mean, I'd say it's one of the foundations, pillars of New Orleans. super sad that we don't have that anymore. I definitely want to check them out. I'll tell you this, live music, I haven't found anything that beats the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra first. Also the Preservation Band, Preservation Hall Band, incredible. I mean, maybe I should ask you what it's been like with the death. I mean, it's not the death, but the coma of live music.
It feels like just yesterday we were having our very last concert was a live TV and radio broadcast that there was no audience for, so we just did it. We finished a big Beethoven overture, all in our white tie and tails, finished big chords at the end, everything, and then there's silence, and we'll all look around, gingerly turning the page to the next piece, and this is, everybody's thinking this is the weirdest thing ever, and it was the weirdest thing ever. Now, the only concerts happening are concerts with no audience. It's not the way it's meant to be, This is music, thrives on the interaction between the players. First of all, when you have to do it in times of COVID, wearing a mask and way apart from one another, plexiglass, that's not what music is about. It's about the intimacy of the players and then communicating it to the audience. But first, I was like, I had the same response as a lot of my colleagues, which is, running to social media to post videos of me playing. But then after a little bit of time, I realized, you know what? I'm doing this on an iPhone. The recording quality is bad. Everybody's doing it. So then I just started practicing a lot for myself because I figured I got to stay in shape for the next time I'm on stage in front of 3,000 people, So, but I have gone through a period of listening to, I've been listening to music like crazy and really getting, reconnected in a way with the cello. And of course, I'd love to be back on stage for the public again, but right now this podcast is taking up all my time, and what I don't spend on the podcast, I'm practicing cello for myself.
Nice, yeah, that's good. Has it gotten harder to practice? I mean, maybe was there ever a time during the quarantine that it was just miserable, sad, just difficult?
Summer was. Well, at the beginning, actually, I didn't touch a cello for like 3 weeks, but then I went through a really intense period where me and my buddy, who is principal clarinet in Cincinnati, we made each other record a really tough etude every day and send the recording to the other person. So the accountability was like, because when you record for a colleague, it has to be really good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so high accountability. Then it's gone in waves, but summer was a little less, but, past month or so, I've been practicing up a storm.
Oh, that's good. That's great to hear, man.
So I'm ready to play duets with you over the internet.
Okay, I'm getting there.
You're getting there, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Austin Carr, wide receiver, New Orleans Saints. I want to thank you. Congratulations on the recovery, being on the team, winning on a winning streak, and we'll look for you on the TV, or as they say in the South, the TV.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, thanks for having me. Great to talk.
You've been listening to Talking Beats with Daniel Lelchuk. I hope you'll subscribe and leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. The original theme music for this program is by Ronald Markham. The content coordinator is Nathaniel Mose. Doug Christian is the executive producer. I'm Daniel Lelchuk. See you next time.